Well, welcome, friend, to the Moms of Tweens and Teens podcast. And I am so happy that you are here. And this is going to be such a meaningful episode. If you're listening and you're like tired and you feel worn and stretched and lost and confused, angry, unlovable, hurt, or unsure, you have tuned in and you're in the right place today. And I am so happy and excited to have Jennifer Thompson on today, the warm, wise, and deeply encouraging Jen Thompson. And she is a blogger, speaker, and author whose heartfelt writing has resonated with thousands of women through her Truly Yours platform. And she's contributed to books like So God Made a Mother and So God Made a Grandma. And now she's the author of her recently released book, Return to Jesus, an invitation to abide with him in every beautiful, stressful, or tedious moment. And Jen's writing, it feels like, and I'm using this for my devotion time, it feels like a handwritten note from a trusted friend. It's real, it's honest, and it's rooted in hope. And she speaks right to the overwhelm so many of us feel as moms and reminds us that even in our messiest moments, we are not alone and we're deeply loved. And whether you identify as a Christian or not, what Jen shares today about returning to peace and creating intentional rhythms and letting go of the pressure to do it all, she's going to speak to your heart. So super excited for you to give it a listen today. So without further ado, Jen, welcome to the podcast today.
Oh, Cheryl, thank you for having me. And that was the sweetest intro ever. You just really touched my heart. So thank you for saying all of those just kind and loving things. I'm just going to tuck those away. And yeah, that was really sweet of you.
Well, I am just so enjoying your book and using it for my devotion time. And it's just very grounding, very peace giving, very calming. And I love the beginning. We were talking before we jumped on here just about what it was like to write this book for you because it's really raw
It is.
and really real and vulnerable. And you write a lot about your own struggles and challenges and wanting to hide those parts of yourself and not sharing them with people for fear of what? So talk about that a little bit, your struggle to share more of your heart and how this has been for you.
Yeah. So you're exactly right. It is. What I say about this book is it's not the highlight reels of my life. It has a lot of the struggle that I faced and how the Lord has redeemed so much and just how he's tenderly just helped me through some really difficult times and really challenging times. And I really do feel called to share the hard parts of life because we all struggle and we all have things that we are dealing with each and every day. Sometimes we go through seasons that are harder than others, but I think we can be isolated sometimes in our struggle and feel like we're alone, but the reality is that we are never alone. We have a God that is with us, even if we are not turned towards him. He never leaves our side, and other people have walked similar roads. And I think we can feel like, oh, I'm the only one dealing with this, but that's just not the case. And a lot of times when we open up and share the hard parts and the raw parts, then that's when somebody else can go, oh my goodness, me too. And now you have someone that you can share. In fact, you and I, just right before we started recording, we're talking about a very similar struggle and something that I don't really share very openly. And I shared it with you, and you're like, you know what, me too. And then you gave me all of these wonderful nuggets of wisdom and encouragement that if had we not had that conversation, I wouldn't have that. So that's part of my heart behind the book is just saying the things, those hard things that need to be said. And then recognizing too that the Lord wants us to be open, I guess, about our struggles. I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it does. And I think it's beautiful what you shared because your book, you're sharing different parts of your struggle and challenges. And you have worked through, you're still in, another season of struggle right now, right?
Yeah.
But I was able to share my struggle that, well, it's not the same as yours, it's very similar what we're going through. And I'm on the other side of it now. It still doesn't mean that there's not grief there and sadness and a lot of different feelings there. But that's what you're doing in the book. You're sharing your struggle, your grief, and other moms because you've gotten through it. And in many ways, well, let me say it this way, you've learned so much and grown so much through that struggle and challenge. And you can share that with other moms that are in the midst of it.
Yes.
That's what we're meant to do. And I always say, I forget who, if it was Henry Nouwen that said, he talked about how our struggle, if we can make meaning out of our stories, that's where the healing comes in. So we can use our stories for good and make meaning out of it. And I feel like that's so true.
Yes. I've seen that so much in my own life too, that when you're in it, it's hard. You have to go through it. You can't you can't bypass it. You can't ignore it. You have to go through it. But then so often when you come to the other side, you can see how God was with you. You can see the gifts that were planted in the midst of the struggle. You can see the meaning because I know, like, I think of just some different things that have happened in my life, and I feel like I've been forgiven for so much. And in turn, I long to forgive. Like if I think like, Lord, you have forgiven me for so many things. Who am I to ever judge another person? Who am I to ever look at somebody else and be like, oh, I can't believe you do that? I don't know. I've never walked a mile in their shoes. And so I think also the struggles give us compassion and empathy and help to remove judgment because we understand that's how we want people to treat us. We don't want to be judged. Like I don't want to be judged for the choices I'm making or the struggles that I have in my life. And so I definitely am not going to judge somebody else. But sometimes I wonder if I hadn't been through all of these things in my life, would I still be that way? Like, would I still have this heart of compassion? Like that's been something that's the Lord has grown in me, and that's part of the meaning, I guess, from the struggle is that now I'm like, I'm not going to ever judge somebody else because I don't want to be judged, surely. And that's part of the reason too that I've struggled at different times to share parts of my story because of fear of judgment. But now, as I'm older, I recognize if somebody ever judges me, that's on them. That's not my problem. That's not my issue. That's kind of their thing. But I think that is something that keeps people from sharing also.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that fear of judgment. And I I remember not my kid.
Yeah.
I'm looking, I remember like when my oldest was like 11, and my kids went to Christian school and I'm like, no, that's not going to be my kid. And then it's like, I'm eating humble pie. Everything I said would not happen happened. I mean, almost everything. And just to be 100% transparent. And it was so humbling, but just like you said, uh, it ended up being kind of the what led me into what I do now with moms of tweens and teens. And I would not be able to help other moms had I not been there.
Yeah.
And it gives wisdom and, like you said, compassion and an understanding in a way that we would never understand had we not gone through it. Even
No.
today, like I have a friend that went through something like moving, and we just recently moved in the last year. And I'm like, what's a big deal? Now I've moved. I'm like, oh, that's what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
now I get it.
Yeah.
It's just funny how life is like that.
Yeah, it changes things. I have a vivid memory of when my kids were really little. So I have four kids and they're all 2 years apart. And I think Nyla, our third, was still a baby. So I think, yeah, they were really little. And I had a bunch of friends over, moms, and we were going to go to the neighborhood pool. And all the other moms at that time, they didn't have children as young as mine or as many. And I was just so tired. And I was like, oh, the pool is so hard, like when they're little and they can't swim. And it's not like you're just relaxing poolside. And so I said to all the moms, I was like, I don't think I have the energy to go to the pool. And one of my friends looked at me and she said, well, she's like, it's not like we're trying to go to Disney World. She's like, it's the pool. Like, what's the big deal? And then, but then she had more kids. And then later she's like, oh, I get it. But
Yeah,
it took her like getting to that place of having multiple very small children and taking them to the pool that she was like, oh, wait, no, it is really hard to take a lot of really little kids to the pool. I'm like, yes, it is really hard. Like,
that's so funny.
yeah,
I
and
know.
she
Oh
wasn't
my
being
gosh.
malicious. Like she wasn't being mean. Like she was being funny, but it took but she just didn't get it at that time. So that's parenting humble pie all the time. Like so many things I said, I would never or I will always have
Yeah.
not. That's not how it's worked out.
Yeah, it hasn't gone so well. So you
No.
talk in the beginning of the book about your struggle to love yourself and feeling unworthy and having parts of yourself that you did not want anyone to know about. How did you get through that?
Yeah, that took a lot of untangling. Um, I just because I think I deeply believed that God's love was for everyone, but not for me. And I'm not exactly sure where I picked up that messaging. I am firstborn child, type A, recovering perfectionist. I think for a long time, my faith was about my performance and what I was doing and how well I was performing. And I had also made a lot of choices that I wasn't really proud of when I was younger, choices that I felt like God could forgive everybody else, but he couldn't forgive me. So there were just a lot of pieces. And in my head, I would read scripture and be like, yes, God loves me, but I could not fully believe it. And it took counseling, um, lots of conversations with, trusted friends and just really just over and over going to the Lord, like, Lord, I don't feel like I am lovable as I am. And it was years of just being honest. And there was a moment when so I'm just going to say this. I hope this is okay. One of the things I talk about in the book was when I was 19 years old, I chose to have an abortion. And that was kind of the thing that I thought cast me into the lot of the unlovable, that was the thing that I was never going to be forgiven for. And I attended a post-abortive Bible study with a group of women. And in that study, somebody posed the question like, well, if like what more do you need than Jesus dying for you? Like what more do you want? And I was like, wait,
Wow.
what? I was like, what? No, I don't need any more. But it was like, well, then you have to accept that that is enough and you are loved as you are and you have always been loved and nothing has ever been a surprise to God. There is no part of my story that has ever been like, whoa, I didn't see that one coming. Like maybe things have been a surprise to me, but they have never been a surprise to him. And even if I felt far from him, he was still near to me. And so now when I go back into those moments, I actually will visualize if something has happened and I feel like, oh, this is, this is too much, like I've fallen too far, I visualize him with me in those moments. I visualize him holding me in those moments. And I just recognize that that love that he has for me is just because I am his child. And as much as I love my children, he loves me that much more. And there's nothing that could ever stop me from loving my children. Nothing, 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 nothing. And if that's how I feel about them, then how much more is that love that God has for me? So just through these processes of it, yeah, it's just a lot of untangling and just coming to see that he's my father and I'm his child, and nothing is ever going to change that. But I had to go to some really hard places to come to that point. And so I think it's important to not run from the parts of our story that we aren't proud of, but to sit there, to sit in those spaces and just know that you're loved no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being so courageous to talk
Welcome.
about that and to share that part of your story. And I know there's moms that are listening right now that maybe have walked a very similar road where they just feel like there's no way God could love them because of what they've done. And they feel cast out. And I love how you say that woman said that to you, like, was Christ's sacrifice not enough for you, that he died for you? And what more do you want? And wow, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, it really sat with me. And kind of like we were talking about earlier, too, the feeling of not being alone. Another thing that I learned when I was in that study is that one out of every four people sitting in a church on Sunday have had a personal experience with abortion. And I think that number's low. I think that that's just the people that have admitted it. And I know it's something a lot of people don't talk about. And so that really just hearing that too, I was like, oh, I thought I was so alone. I didn't think people in sitting in church have had an experience with this. And to hear that, I was like, oh no, like there are so many of us, but we just don't talk about it. And I think there are a lot of different things that we don't talk about in Christian community in particular, that we really need to start having these conversations in safe spaces. Not, you don't have to talk, I'm not talking about talking to everybody about these things, but just to have safe spaces where we can go and heal together with groups of other people, where we can share our stories and talk about the things we've been through and know that we aren't alone and know that we're forgiven and know that we're loved and know that there's grace to cover everything. I just think it's so important, but it can be so hard to talk. And that's one of the reasons I feel that I have been called to share this part of my story. For a long time, I did not. There is no way I would have said the words I just said. But part of my healing has also been I'm not bound by shame anymore, and I'm not afraid of the judgment of others. My heart is for helping other people heal and to recognize that they are loved. And
Yes.
there's an
Loved and
invitation.
forgiven. Yes.
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 Yeah.
I agree with you so much about church that sometimes people have stopped going to church because they don't feel safe. They don't feel accepted. They don't feel like they can talk about it. And that's what we're sick, like
Yeah.
all of us,
Yeah.
the human condition. And that's where we should be able to go and find a doctor, right?
Yes.
And healing and be able to share those real parts of ourselves, because that is the invitation. So talk about every chapter you've broken down. There is an invitation that God is just waiting to invite us into.
Yes.
So we are invited, you say, at the table. And I love that picture, that image of being invited to the table, like thinking, no, I'm not invited because I have to get it together. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to go to church. I have to take communion. I have to, whatever it is. I'm not ready, right? Or I'm
Yeah.
not good enough to do that. So talk about the invitation because I love how yeah, that
Yeah.
feels
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So it was really important to me. I start off the book talking about the invitation and how you love to receive an invitation, right? Because when you receive an invitation, it means somebody's thought about you, somebody recognized you, somebody wants your presence, somebody cares about you, somebody wants you there. And God wants to meet us every single day, wherever we are, in whatever state we are in. This is not about, like you said, like, I've got to get it together. I have to look right. I have to say the right things. I have to do this right thing. It's no, it is wherever you are in whatever you're facing, there is an invitation to pull up a seat at the table and to meet with our creator. And I think when we recognize that this invitation exists, at least for me, it has changed so much of my days because, like I said before, like it's not about me anymore. It's not about what I'm doing or how I'm performing or am I checking off all the right boxes to meet some kind of criteria. No, it's about just learning how to abide with him through it all. And it seriously transforms my day when I recognize that, because then just like, Lord, help me through this, or God, watch over my children, or even I feel like then there's also like your eyes are open more to the needs of others too. Like, Lord, show me how can I serve people in my community? Where can I go to be your light, to be your love, to be your hands and feet? And then it's not always so much about me. Now it's like, oh, like what's happening around me and how can I love people well wherever they are? And I think that for me also for a while, like God was kind of like this angry judge in the sky who was just looking down at me, like waiting for me to mess up. And I'm like, no, that's not at all who he is. But if that's when I saw him that way, I surely wasn't like necessarily wanting to accept an invitation to hang out, but once I
yeah,
recognize he's a loving father, and that he wants me to give him every bit of my days, and then I long to be with him. Um, yeah, so
yeah. I found it really comforting because you talk about the checking off the boxes and you talk about being really busy, how his moms were really busy um, and have so much going on. And I tend to be kind of rigid, like, okay, my day is not going to go well because I haven't had my quiet time, right? I haven't spent time with the Lord. And yet I know in my head, like, that he's not punitive like that. Like, okay, well, you didn't, right? Sit down with me this morning. You started working right away. I also know that I want to put him first.
yes,
However, it's that part, my husband will say this, that I don't think that if I'm not doing the right things, that God is going to bless me. That's kind of
yeah,
how I see it. There's almost like an exchange there. And you talk about, no, we can invite God into our day at the kitchen sink. We can invite God into our day. So talk about that because I thought that was very refreshing. I actually read that this morning during my
oh yay.
okay, Lord, I got to go. I got a really busy day. So invite you in.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, there were times so I feel like right before I had the kids and I was in my early 20s, I did all the things. Like I had rededicated my life to Christ. I was on fire for the Lord. I was always at church on Sunday and the prayer group and hosting a Bible study and serving and like just all the things you're supposed to do. Like how I said that, even like that was it's not there's nothing we're really supposed to do. But like they're all those things they bless us and they help us to grow in our relationship with the Lord. But But after I had the kids and 3 out of our 4 have asthma or other lung issues, and they were sick a lot. We were in the emergency room a lot, and there were so many sleepless nights. And like I couldn't do any of the things at all that I was able to do before. So that was a moment when I really had to learn like this is not why the Lord loves me. It's not because I'm doing all of this. And so then I was like, well, how do I meet with him then? If I can't get to church on Sunday and I can't host the Bible study night, how do I connect with the Lord? And then I think there was a moment, it was when I don't remember which one of my kids it was, but I was holding them in the night. And I just really felt God's presence with me as I was rocking my baby. And I just felt his presence so much in that moment. And it was like, oh, oh wait, no, I can worship him right here. And it was just this really tender moment with me and the Lord and my baby. And it was just another one of those shifts in my life where it's like, yes, the quiet time is good. And yes, church is good. But yes, worshiping the Lord while I hold my baby is good. And yes, praying for my children while I fold my socks, that's good. And recognizing there's so much value in loving our family and caring for our family and these things that seem so monotonous and they can be, and I'm not saying that it's like every day you're like, yes, I get to do another load of laundry. Like, no, like I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever been like, yes, I'm doing laundry. But just to see the work is so important and it's so good and it's so valuable and the Lord sees you even if you don't feel seen. Because I think sometimes as a mom, especially when the kids are little, it's like, does anyone see me? Does anybody notice what I'm doing? Does anybody see what I'm doing every day? But the Lord sees. And I think just recognizing, like, even having that shift, like, this is my ministry. Like, if wherever you work is your ministry, when you're with your family, that's your ministry. When you're at the ball diamond, that's your ministry. Like just seeing that God's in those spaces and you have an opportunity everywhere you are to be with him and then to love others well that he's put before you. So yeah, that's
That
that
brings
moment.
me so much peace hearing you say that. It's just such a good reminder. And we go through really difficult times where it's like, Lord, do you see? Do you see? Are you at work? Have you? And my church is reading through the Bible in a year, and we're reading through the Psalms and just how much God even wants. That's where we are right now, how much He just wants our honesty and our truth of where we're really at. Like He wants our heart.
Yes.
And that's helped me because I get caught all up in the performing or I'm not doing it right, or therefore God's going to be disappointed with me, all those things. And we just have to keep coming back to that invitation, like you said.
Yeah. And we live in a performance-based culture. So I think we receive that message constantly that it's what we're achieving, how we're looking, how we're performing. So it's really hard, I think, when the message we receive regularly is about our performance or how much money we're making, how big is your house, how well are your kids behaved. It's all of these
Now with
things.
what we do, the reels, even I'm like, I got to do reels.
Yes. Oh, the
And then
reels.
oh
Ugh.
my gosh.
Like, oh, yes, you see everybody's highlight reels. You see the high parts of life. And so I think sometimes our faith can get confused, like kind of mixed. We get that message about our faith too, that it's about our performance, but it's not about our performance at all. And the thing is, I love how you said being honest with God because he knows, and there's nothing that we can say. Like you can take anger, doubt, fear, frustration, those quote unquote negative emotions. God gave us those emotions for a reason and he can take it. Like he can take it. Like I'm angry, Lord. I don't like what's happening right now, God. just recognizing that he knows anyway, and we can give him that. It doesn't have to be in the form of this pretty, beautiful, well composed, prayer. You can just like you would talk to a friend, you can talk to God that way. And I think sometimes it took me a while to come to that place.
Yeah, that's beautiful. We're going to have you back on for part two.
I've loved our conversation so much, and
I
I've
know.
loved it. And I love the conversation we had even before we hit record. I mean, you have encouraged my heart, and you've really spoken to I've told you I'm dealing with a personal struggle right now, and just to hear you've walked a similar road too, it's just like, to me, these are not like the things that some may call coincidence. I don't think that is a coincidence. It's to me that I'm talking to you today. Like, I've really needed this conversation. So I
Yeah.
just appreciate you having me on.
Oh, and you've so encouraged me with what you've shared because I'm going through a season right now too where I'm like, Lord, where are you? So, I'm very grateful and I love this book that you have prayers in there. You have some reflection questions in the book. And there's one other thing you have prayers, reflection questions at the end. There's one
Yeah,
thing.
the invitation to return. So it's broken up into 1 minute, 1 hour, and 1 day. So there's just suggestions of different ways that you can meet with the Lord. And life is busy. So it was really important to me to have that 1 minute section in there too, because I think, sometimes it feels like we have to, sit down for this certain amount of time, but a minute with God is a minute well spent. So
Mm,
I really I needed it, but I liked, yeah, it was important that it was broken down that way. So
yeah. What would you say to the mom that's listening right now or the grandma? We have grandmas too. I love that.
oh yay.
Um, that maybe she's like, I don't know, I listened to this. I don't really know about that Jesus, if I believe about that, what would you say to her?
I would say that's okay. Like, I know I've been there too. And the Lord loves you right where you are. And, I just would suggest just maybe just praying, just taking some time and just asking, like, Lord, who are you? Show me who you are. And just trusting that he will. I think God, I look throughout my story, I can see now just all of these seeds that were planted, all of these people that he put in my path, all of these things, like I said, that were not coincidence that happened in my life. And I know that that was him seeking after me and reaching down and pursuing me. And so I do believe that the Lord pursues us all. And so I would just say it's okay if you're not there. The Lord loves you where you are. He longs to meet with you, and he is pursuing you. So maybe just look for different ways that you might see him in your day.
I love that. Yeah, being open to see. That's
Yeah.
all of us. Show me yourself today, God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
man.
he will. And
And
he
he will.
will.
That's a prayer he wants to answer.
Mhm.
Love that. Jen, tell them where to find you.
Okay, yeah. So I have a blog, Truly Yours Jen, and I also have a website, jenthompsonauthor.com. All of my socials are Truly Yours Jen. And I have my book, like you said, that just came out, Return to Jesus, an invitation to abide with him in every beautiful, stressful, or tedious moment. And you can find that pretty much anywhere that books are sold. So, and I'd love to connect. So if they message me, I love hearing from people. I'm an open book, and I will, even if you just message and say, hey, I just need some prayers, will you pray for me? I will pray for you. So yeah, reach out. I'd love to hear from anybody.
I love that. Thank you, Jen. This is
Thank you for
so
having me.
encouraging. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
loved it. Thank you, Cheryl.